Hey everybody, my name's TSW, and in this video I'm going to be going over a brief overview of each of the bosses in Karazhan. This is on the Looking for Group private server, and it is pre-nerf, or it tries to be as much as possible. And my UI is going to be a little bit all over the place, so apologies for that, but I thought, for once I wouldn't stream a raid, I would just record it and make each video, so here it is. So start the pull. And this tank who pulls is going to be basically AFK for the last phase. So pick whichever tank you like. You can one tank it if you take two mobs here. You see the huntsman spawns very early into the fight. Make sure that he's picked up straight away. If I'm wanting to tank the huntsman, I have a shield slam ready and lots of rage. So as soon as he spawns, I can start getting lots of aggro on him straight away because you can't taunt him. And one of the main reasons for wiping in this encounter is aggro. So just throw your debuffs, Thunderclap damage out, because if you're playing a warrior, it's very, very important. And obviously Sunder Armors. You don't want to ignore the huntsman completely just because you don't want, in our case, the druid to die. So put your debuffs on to help the druid stay alive. But everyone, with regards to damage, just keep focusing on Midnight. And again, just be mindful of aggro because it can be a bit of an issue. And then we go into the third phase. As you see, the guy jumps onto the horse's back and continues on the huntsman's aggro. So just keep going for damage and damage and damage. Just nuke it. You can pop Lust like we are now. Just make sure that on your server that there isn't a reset when you go into the last phase, but that should be fairly easy to find out anyway. And he does a charge mechanic, so the person furthest away will get hit by the charge. As you saw, I got thrown to the air. But one thing I also try, and unfortunately he doesn't seem to charge again, is I'm actually now in melee range, but I am still the furthest person away from the boss. So it's interesting to see if he would still charge me, being the first person away. There's also a curse that you see on the entire raid. It's getting decursed one at a time. This increases your chance to miss by something ridiculous like 50%. Prioritize it on the tanks always, because aggro, and then on the hard-hitting DPS if you want to kill the boss quickly. And that's pretty much it. Congrats on the kill. And it's not a boss per se, but it is trash, and trash is pretty much 90% of Karazhan. When there are things patrolling around, I like to mark them just so that people can see that they're walking around and just so you don't accidentally ass pull any of them. Speaking of ass pulls, here's when we pulled Morose and I intervened underground and then back up. Just looking for group things. So now we're actually at Morose with all the trash cleared. Ideally you want to be shackling something or turn-eviling something, any kind of CC you can do on these undead mobs. Unfortunately we didn't have much, so running in with a shield wall is a really good way to grab everything, because I'm looking for group. If you do like a misdirect pull, they can sometimes reset, which is a bit annoying. But anyway, pulling with shield wall is really good because you can take a hit from all of the mobs and survive, and it kind of like establishes aggro to begin with. And you can also pull with, say, a thunderclap and then have shackles be used. If you are shackling, one thing I'd recommend to any priest is cast your shackle, then immediately cast a second shackle. It's the same for pretty much any CC in the game. If your job is to make that target CC'd, there's nothing wrong with pre-casting a second CC. So with that out of the way, basically you just want to control the ads and have some guy tanking Morose. Morose can be disarmed, so I advise doing so if you want to take less damage. And basically, there's one of the mobs who's in shadow form. That one does a mana burn, which is quite noteworthy. There's one that has the benediction staff, who's a priest who heals. We've got a warrior who does a cleave or whirlwind, but the most important thing is he does a mortal strike. So ideally you don't want to be tanking Morose with a mob that mortal strikes you, reducing your healing taken by 50%, because that can lead to deaths. One also really cool thing is if you're marking a skull for a first target on Morose, you don't necessarily have to tank it. A plate DPS like a DPS warrior, for example, or feral druid, lol, just go bear form, can just tank the mob for a few seconds. Additionally, you can just Hammer of Justice it and pop cooldowns and kill it in a few seconds. You don't need to get overwhelmed by the ads, but people often can. You just need to have the confidence with the ads, I think, is the most important thing. So just manage your CC well, disarm Morose. He'll vanish from time to time. He'll also gouge the tank. What he can do is CC the tank fully, and then be very mindful of who's second on aggro, because Morose will, as aggro works, go straight for the person second on aggro if the tank is CC'd. So just be mindful of that. Range, stand at max range. There's no reason why you wouldn't. And, if the tank or whoever, if aggro does get shifted, just be mindful, okay? And now we're at Maiden. Oh, very quickly, already at Maiden. I wish Kara raids went this quickly when I'm doing them. Maybe if I didn't ninja pull so much, Kappa. So here we are pulling Maiden. She does quite a lot of damage, as you'll see. Basically, you just want to spread everyone 360 degrees around the room. You can see in between the pillars we have somebody stacked. She does a consecration on the floor. The consecration is very noteworthy because she does have a repentance, and assuming that your boss mod timer is accurate, when the repentance comes off cooldown, simply take a few steps into the consecration. Yes, you want to take damage from the consecration, because when you get repented, damage breaks the repentance, and the consecration will facilitate that damage. So, easy. Threat can be an issue on this fight, particularly if you have very geared DPS. Just fingers crossed you have very geared healers. Normally the two go hand in hand, so the tank can generally wear a little bit more threat gear, even though you see I'm getting beaten about a little bit. Maybe one of the healers is repented or was out of tree form, as I see. Maybe he died. I don't know. Anyway, really cool fight. What you can do is just burn Lust and kill it really quickly, because if people, there is a chance that people will fail. Say, for example, a healer gets a full duration of repentance. See these two DPS on the left hand side? Noobs! They're not stood in the consecration. Maybe they don't have accurate timers on their boss mods, but both of them just had a full duration repentance. If a healer gets a full duration repentance, that sucks for the tank, because you're probably going to die, and that's Maiden. So down to one of my favourite bosses, I think. Mainly because he's, I don't know, it's kind of cool. It's a big fat dragon, so... And he's like Scully? I don't know, he's got no skin and no other things. Anyway, it's everyone's favourite, well, most people's favourite, probably Nightbane. So you didn't earn the quest, blah, 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 who cares, cool. Right, so he flies down from the sky, you want to pick him up straight away, don't have any hots on yourself within reason. I mean, it depends. If you're getting hit really, really hard, you might want to have pre-hots before you pull, but at the same time, if your shield slam misses, bye-bye, Mr. Resto Druid. So he does a bellowing roar, as you see. As a warrior, if you don't have any shaman in your group, you really want to be using your Berserker Rage. Have a macro, /cast Berserker Stance, /cast Berserker Rage, and you'll get out of the fear. You need to hit it really quickly, because the cast time is only like 2 seconds or so. He also does a AoE on the floor. You see it kind of underneath him. He will do this on me, I think, in the next phase. But basically, the radius isn't the whole platform. As you see, there are gaps. So when he does his AoE on the floor, Charred Earth, I think is what it's called, on me, I just run straight through Nether Spite and into the safe zone, because there's always a gap on the other side if you're standing on the far edge of the platform. So yeah, he flies into the sky, as you see. He drops ads, as you see. What's really nice is if you're a warrior tanking them, perhaps the hardest to deal with all the ads, whatever, just mark one with Skull, have DPS go for that, and because this is L4G, you can attack Nightbane when he's in the sky. Cool stuff. And then just AFK whilst DPS to get a Lust and start killing the boss. Every 25% he's going to fly into the air, as he did then. If you can, attack him whilst he's in the air, but as far as I understand, you're not meant to be able to. And then he lands. There is an aggro reset, so watch out for that. You really don't want to have your range dying. So lots of aggro as soon as he lands. You want to position him exactly how I do. I'm stood right on the edge. I do get a fear, but whatever. I mean, I probably should have used my Berserker Rage, but Shamans, so I can be lazy. He's doing Charred Earth. Yes, he does Charred Earth on me. And I just run straight through him and spin him round. He does a Breath, so don't face him towards the raid. And he does a Tail Swipe, so don't face his tail towards the raid. Okay, I've spoken about Nightbane enough. Let's go on to Curator. Okay, one more thing that's kind of important. If your tank is taking lots and lots of damage, which he probably will because he's a hard-hitting boss, healers, if you have Charred Earth under you, you can take one tick and finish your cast. Okay, I'm done. Okay, so apparently I didn't record the entire curator fight, so I'm going to have to talk even quicker than normal. So just pull him as normal. He does a hateful bolt, which will attack the person second on aggro, so make sure that person is healed. Zombie lol gets destroyed at the beginning because he takes a hateful bolt and also takes the lightning from the spark. We're doing the stacking tactic where everyone goes onto the spark as soon as it spawns. However, you will be all taking damage from the chain lightning from the spark, so you need to be killing the spark very, very quickly. The alternative strategy is to have everyone stand out and spread out. If you have really low damage, this is the strategy for you, but if you have high damage, then stack and just blast it. When the creator runs out of mana, he'll do an evocation taking double damage. Nuke him, use Lust there. Don't focus too much on the boss if you know that you're going to have 2 evocates, because you're always going to kill him during the evocation anyway. So now we have Shade of Iran. Look at my gear. I have lots of hit rating. How much hit rating? Like 10% hit rating. What are my weapons? Weapons that reduce the mob's armor by 200 and they stack 3 times. So yeah, so I'm going to be able to do damage because even though I'm wearing crappy DPS gear that prioritizes hit rating above anything else, you can't see it because, like I said in the beginning, my UI is poop. This is a general tip. Just take the boss's armor down. Stack like I did a video on my channel a little bit ago using shards of yielding, or whatever they're called. It's so important to take the mob's armor down. Anyway, back to the boss. He does a load of things. Generally speaking, it's the arcane missiles that does damage that you want to prioritize and interrupt it. You can see the cast bar in the middle of the screen quite nicely. However, on looking for group, the arcane missiles do almost no damage, and it's the fire blast. It's the fire blast that does most of the damage, and I think we lose one person to the fire blast. Anyway, there are also these elementals that spawn, I think, at 40%. We have 2 warlocks, so we just have each of them banish 1 and each of them fear 1. You can also just pop heroism or lust and then just blast the boss down, or you can DPS them, although eventually they do despawn. I took a load of damage because I was too late running out of the arcane explosion. He does an arcane explosion, drags everyone to the middle, just run max out. The doorway that you walk in is a safe spot. You don't get hit by the blizzard, and yeah, you can just continue standing still and casting, so do that ranged. As you see, no one does it in our party, but shh. What else does he do? He does a fire thing where he makes fire rings on the floor. Don't move when they're on the floor, so you can wipe the raid. And yeah, good luck on the loot. So why did we do Shade of Iran first? It's because you get the teleport from the first NPC in the beginning of Karazhan. So if you wipe on Ilhoof, lol, not that you would, you have a easier wipe recovery, and also with our cooldowns on Lust, I thought it may have been a little bit easier to have done Iran first, because you kind of would rather have Lust on Iran than on Ilhoof, although it's fun on both encounters really. And speaking of fun, you can do a lot of damage on Ilhoof. Basically, it's the easiest fight you've ever seen in your life. You just tank Ilhoof, some ads spawn, just get people attacking the ads. If they're not attacking the ads, get on TeamSpeak and start shouting at people to kill the ads. They're DPS, it's their job. You don't really want to be running around trying to pick up the ads as the tank yourself, because that just means less threat on Ilhoof, and with less threat on Ilhoof, people can pull aggro. As you see, Zombie Lol on Omen in the bottom right, just above my bags, is, you know, he's below me on threat, which is fine, but I mean, if I was focusing on ads, my threat would be significantly less, although he's a good boy and uses invisibility. Congrats, DPS, for doing your job. He also does a chains, where he will select one person who isn't the tank randomly, and you see that green texture on the floor. He'll put someone in there, and you need to kill them, essentially. I mean, you kill the chains around them or something. I don't know what it is you're meant to do. They'll get positioned in the green thing, and then just attack them. It takes like 5-10 seconds to break them out of the chains. You see Skull there. Oh, he just bopped. Cheater! I call cheats. But the bear is still DPSing the chains. Okay. Anyway, yeah, really easy fight. Just kill him. He also spawns a big elite ad. You can tank that yourself. Basically, the main DPS priority is the big ad called Kill Wreck, I think. The small ads that you see, and then Ilhoof himself. You can kind of play it a bit like just YOLO DPS and go for Ilhoof a lot and then just kill ads all in waves. Say, once you see 4 ads, you can kill all the ads and then go back. You don't have to, if there's one ad, oh my god, we need to stop damage on Ilhoof and go for the ad. You can kind of relax a bit and play it a bit fluid with regards to DPS. Easy fight, fun. Top tip, if you're playing on L4G, do this. Paladin, he's rat, but whatever. Put tank gear on, pull all the ads, run to the left, and then run forward so you can still be rezzed. The rest of the party, not in combat, I might add, run on the right hand side, and when the Paladin dies, after using bubble, we res the Paladin. We saved like 10 minutes on trash. Woo. So now we're on Nether Spite. Basically, this fight is going to be annoying to explain. There are a series of beams, red, green, and blue. The red beam's the tank beam. You see the druid eventually goes into the red beam. That's the tank beam. You get a load of HP when you stand in the tank beam. You're also given you should be given. You saw he looked the other direction for a second there. You're given Nightbane's focus. He's going to be attacking you. If you're stood in the red beam, he's going to be attacking you. Easy. You also get given HP. On L4G, the beams spawn a little bit late or whatever. Like you don't get the debuff straight away or the buff for extra health. So you might want to use some sort of cooldown to ensure that you stay alive without the assistance of the beam buff, even though it's a debuff. The beam benefit from the debuff. Okay. There's also a green beam. This one heals the boss. If you want to kill him, you want to stand in. Well, every beam needs to be stood in, but the green beam heals him for a stupid amount of health, like each second or whatever. He's got the green beam attacking him. The green beam also, I think, drains your mana. So have someone who doesn't really care about mana, like rogues, warriors, enhancement shamans, rep paladins if you must. And we also have a blue beam, which is the damage beam, increases your damage. So yeah, get in the blue beam. You get a stacking debuff, and basically what the debuff does for the tanks is it reduces your health, I think, and you basically can start to get like 1 or 2 shot from the boss. Here you can see that they changed it on L4G. This is the first week I've done Kara where they've changed it, so I don't have the extra buff from the beam. You can see the beam is going straight through me and into the boss. You're meant to do it with now 4 players instead of 2, because this has now been changed so it is properly pre-nerf. But I just tank it like a boss and use last stand in shield wall, and it's easy. During the phase transition, he'll go to like a dark colour as if he's a shadow priest in his shadow form. We just all go in melee range around the red circle just near his feet. Spread out 360 as best you can evenly around, because he does a breath that knocks people back. Now it's radius based. Oh, you can see us doing it here. This is fantastic. So we stand 360 around the boss. He'll do a breath that is also a knockback. It's only like a 20-degree cone. So you saw then it was only 1 person in the entire raid that got knocked back. There you saw 4 people or 3 people get knocked back because they were spread like mongs. Anyway, you should be spread out. You can see there's a void zone on my left. Don't stand in the void zones. And yeah, doing the 360 spread during the second phase is OP as hell. So do it. So last we have Prince. I apologise for the quality. Turns out I didn't actually record the Prince fight. So here's a highlight from one of my streams. So I'm not in maybe as good a gear, but my gear is pretty good anyway. But yeah, sorry, it looks a bit potato quality. So this is a really cool fight. Because you can wear your avoidance gear, which is cool. If you have any kind, like if you're a serious tank, you'll have different sets of gear, and for this fight you want to be using your avoidance gear because you basically negate like the important thing of this fight. And he hits really, really hard phase 2. Phase 1, who cares? He does a Shadow Nova that you saw that does damage and knocks people back. The really OP thing that melee can do, and also Shadow Priests, is to the right of him from this side. There's a little indentation in the wall. That is line of sight. And you can line of sight his Shadow Nova thing and just negate it completely. When he starts casting, it's a little bit too late, but your boss add-on should tell you, Shadow Nova cooldown's done. So you see our Paladin, he goes into the safe zone. He doesn't get knocked back. He took 0 damage from that Nova. He also does a dot on people that can be dispelled. He also takes everyone down to 1 HP, and that's when you get comboed from going down to 1 HP as well as taking the Nova to just get 1 shot. And as a tank, you just get healed up. Lovely. He also does these meteor things that spawn from the sky. They land on the floor and do loads of AoE. You want to be having your camera zoomed out all the way so you can see if any of them spawn near you. If they are, move, or else you'll get 1 shot again if you get taken to 1 HP, or they do significant damage where you can just die if you're stood in them for a significant amount of time. So it's 60%, boom, lightning. He's going to go into his DPS phase, so he's going to hit me really, really hard. And one thing I can do is, well, what I did do is change weapon. So I was using a threat weapon before to get as much threat on the boss as I could. Well, this is going into more in-depth. Anyway, whatever. I put on a threat weapon to do as much threat as I can, a 1.4 weapon speed, and do as much threat as I can. Then in phase 2, I put my avoidance weapon on. I'm wearing full avoidance gear. You can see on Omen, I'm not doing much damage or much threat rather at all. I'm just keeping Thunderclap, Demo Shout and Sunder Armor on. I'm not even swinging to attack the boss because of Pyromechanic. I just want to be taking as little damage as possible. I have my Morose's Lucky Pocket Watch on use because that increases my avoidance. Also use Last Stand and Shield Wall here. You may think you can get away without using Shield Wall or Last Stand, but you really don't want to take the risk. You saw I almost died then. Because on Phoenix and Looking for Group, there's a chance where you can take 3 melee swings all at once. This is a bug, a common bug on private servers with dual wielding mobs, such as Prince in phase 2. You see he's got an axe in each hand. He can trigger a triple attack where he does 1 attack, then a second, then what comes after a second? A third. Oh yeah, a third attack, all within the space of 0.1 of a second of each other. So if you don't avoid the first one, I've been told that you don't avoid any of the 3. So just buff your avoidance as high as you can, so you have the best chance of avoiding the first and subsequently the 2 next ones. So you basically take no damage. Don't worry about whatever. You can just wear HP gear if you want and cross your fingers. Just use cooldowns. If your DPS is good enough, he's in phase 2 where he's hitting very hard, between 60 and 30% health. I realise I've not been very clear about any of the tactics on any of the bosses, but whatever. 60% to 30% is where it matters most. You want to do most of your damage here. You want to use Lust Heroism here. You want to use Shield Wall Last Stand here. You want to use everything you can, 60 to 30, because that is the, oh my god, the tank can die and we can wipe. Once you get to 30%, it's easy. 100%, 60% is easy. You know, use nothing other than 1 minute cooldown spells from 100 to 60% health. And then, you know, you can see one of the meteor guys has landed, pulsating the lava stuff on the floor in the bottom right of the screen. Oh, and there's a guy there. Hello. So you can see the shadow bolts are coming from the bottom left because ranged have moved, and I'm safe. You can see that melee are just on the edge, so they're safe. He also has his axes run after each other. Sorry, there's one coming to me. There's an axe on the floor that's attacking me. They just float around and attack people. Feel free to use your health stones. That's what they're there for when you're taking kind of spiky damage. And the damage from the axes certainly is spiky. I nearly said spicy. Spicy damage. And that's Prince, and that's all the bosses in Karazhan. Leave a comment if you liked this kind of video, or most likely if you hated it. Leave a thumbs up or thumbs down. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Also, the guild that I'm in on L4G has disbanded, so quite likely no more TBC content for a while. RIP. Bye.